Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. And today we're getting into some Stalker Reddit threads, and oh boy, do I have some disturbing, unhinged, and just obsessive Reddit threads for you guys today. And you've seen the title. These are some Stalker Reddit threads, and these are genuinely some of the most creepy and just unhinged Reddit threads I have ever read. So make sure to stick around, and I appreciate you guys stopping by. It means the world, and make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. The channel subscriber goal is 1 million subscribers before the end of the year, so please subscribe. I would really love for you to join the community. And yeah, would you like to see more videos like this in the future that are kind of focused on one topic, like scary relationship stories or stalker stories, or, you know, scary forest stories or Reddit threads, that sort of stuff? Please comment down below your thoughts. I read every single comment, so I appreciate all of the comments and insight and feedback. And also make sure you follow me on Instagram and follow me over on Spotify and rate me 5 stars. And that's enough self-plugs for now, but I really appreciate you guys stopping by. And make sure you sit back, relax, grab a drink and grab a snack and get cozy, because today we're getting into some Stalker Reddit threads. How do I, 31 female, tell my colleague, 44 female, her behavior is bordering on harassment? And how do I deal with her in general? I've been working on a remote mine site for about 18 months. Have really only started being friends with this woman in the last 6 months. We work 2 weeks and then go home for a week. My general work philosophy is I'm here to work, not make friends. So I'm quite happy not having friends and just doing my job. But I figured, what's the worst that could happen, right? So to start things off, she's got bipolar, so her moods are up and down all the time, and frankly, she can be downright scary when her moods are down. When we initially started hanging out, we made a joke about adult toys. I'm a fairly open-minded person, and I do like a good joke. However, since that joke, she has been sending me photos of adult toys almost daily. I've stopped replying to them, but apparently that didn't work. A few weeks later, she told me that she thought I was hot and I had gorgeous eyes, but she wouldn't try anything with me because she knows I have a boyfriend. Since then, she keeps telling me how attracted she is to me. I've told her I'm flattered, but I'm not into women, which was kind of a lie. She's just not the type of women I'd be interested in regardless. She laid off for a little while, which made me think she's not too bad. Somehow, she invited herself over to my house. I don't drink a lot because I've had issues in the past. I told her she could swing by, but I wasn't going to be drinking. So she comes over with her own booze and gets hammered. I let my dogs inside for a little bit. One wasn't interested in her. So she called her a fat ass on several occasions. I took my dogs out because they shouldn't be treated like that, even if they don't understand what's being said to them. Since then, she keeps trying to invite herself around, and to be honest, I see enough of her at work. I like my own space, even when it comes to my boyfriend. She keeps questioning the relationship I have with my boyfriend of 4 years, asking whether or not I should be with him. She's only met him once and doesn't want to hang around with me when he is around. He also works up at the same mine site occasionally, depending on what work he's got on. Yet she keeps telling me and other people how hot he is and that I shouldn't worry because she won't try anything. Most recently, she told me that she had a freaky dream about me and she had to tell me so it wouldn't be weird, which I don't get because now it's certainly more weird. On top of all that, she doesn't respect my personal space. She will try to touch me. She's always nudging me with her elbow, which is irritating AF. I don't like being touched. Never have. I think she thinks she's being subtle about it, but it is totally obvious to me. For example, I show her a photo on my phone, and she grabs it so she has to touch my hand, despite there being plenty of room to grab the phone without making contact. I don't know what to do. She's crazy and will probably kill me in my sleep. Edit.
I forgot to mention that she seems obsessed with mine and my boyfriend's bedroom habits. Like, she will ask me what I did on my time off, and before I can reply, she'll say something like, "I bet you had heaps of intimacy." Truth of it is, we are more likely to be smashing out the video games than each other. And now let's get into some of the top comments. One person says, "That does sound like S harassment or intimate harassment. Do you have a HR policy?" Like, I realize mining sites in the middle of nowhere are probably somewhat different to a metropolitan office, but if someone was doing that to me, I would complain. And the OP responds and says, "We do. I just don't know if it's worth the stress of getting HR involved or if I can try to deal with the situation myself first. To be honest, when I started, I thought it was going to be the men I'd have to worry about." And another user comments and says, "Stop hinting around and just tell her. Stop sending me pictures of adult toys. Stop asking me about my intimate life. Stop touching me. I'm not interested in you. I don't want to report you to HR. Hit this has to stop or I will." And the OP responds and says, "I've been giving her the cold shoulder. Seems to be working. Sort of. Got a message from her today saying she's unhappy and needs to be alone. Yet she is sitting next to me on the smoko." And another user says, "Have you told her how you feel?" And the OP responds and says, "I have made it clear that I have no interest in her or women intimately. I've made it abundantly clear that I am in love with my boyfriend more than ever. She knows we have just been approved for a loan to build a house together, so things are kind of serious. I've told her that I don't like being touched. In fact, yesterday on the bus ride home, she was leaning on me, and I told her straight up she was in my bubble. She got cranky and moved seats." And another user says, "She likes you a lot, like a lot. Can you get reassigned to a different schedule so you aren't around her so often? Can you say that you having personal issues and don't want to talk, even if you make up a story, perhaps even something tragic? She sounds absolutely awful. Never heard of someone calling dogs fat asses. That is absolutely bizarre on any level. The intimacy dream thing is her just trying to do anything to get you to do something with her. I honestly don't have many other suggestions. Your situation is unlike anything I have ever heard. I would just keep trying to display no interest and keep my distance from her." And the OP responds and says, "I've been trying to get other roles at work so I can avoid her. My last resort would be to change my roster. I don't really want to do that as it is a bit of a hassle and they won't really just let you switch around without a valid reason. My partner will be up here more often in the coming months as he has some regular work, so she won't hassle me too much while he is around, which will be a bit of a relief. And yeah, who calls someone's dog a fat ass? Sure, my dog is a bit chubby, but it's something we're working on. I don't even talk to my dogs like that when they've been naughty. If I was going to be honest, that's the one thing that's really irritating me." And then the OP comes back 2 days later with a shocking update titled, "She tried to kill me." And let's get into it. So I told her that I'm happy to have a friendly, professional relationship with her, but I'm not comfortable with anything more than that. I told her she needs to stop touching me and respect my boundaries. The next day, I got a text from her saying, "Morning. Think we should call it a day. You take care and good luck with all your plans." I think she legit thought we had something going on. I don't know. That evening after work, I went to the wet mess to catch up with my boyfriend, who flew up for a breakdown. We were having a few drinks when she comes up to me and asks if she can talk to me privately. I decline, and she pulls out a knife. I managed to put my arm up to shield my face, and she slices my arm open. Oh my God. My boyfriend and a few other guys managed to get the knife off her and restrain her. Everything is a bit hazy. It took about half an hour for the medic to arrive. They did the best they can. Then I'm put on an ambulance and driven an hour and a half to the closest hospital. Again, they do their best to patch me up, but they don't have the best resources available. I'm flying back to my city today and will need to catch up with a plastic surgeon. Unfortunately, I've been told there's going to be a fair bit of nerve damage. All credit to the doctors here, doing the best they can with what they have though. As far as I'm aware, she's been arrested and charged. Haven't really had a chance to catch up with the police myself yet, as I've been in surgery and high on painkillers. They have plenty of witness statements. Needless to say, I won't have to worry about her at work anymore, but she does know where I live, which is worrying. I'm also going to be off work for a while, which is going to impact me financially. I'm not sure if this counts as workers' comp as I was up at work or what. I do have income protection, so that will help me out a little bit. Ugh. Anywho, it's taken ages to write this on my phone, as I only have one good hand. I feel like I will be more angry once the painkillers wear off. And now let's get into some of the top comments. One user says, "Oh my god, I got nothing to say but holy shit. I hope you recover from this okay." And another user says, "Oh my god, that is horrible. I hope you get better quickly and don't have any lasting issues with the arm." And somebody else says, "Good thing she didn't go off to the secondary location for that private chat. People might not have been able to intervene so quickly." And someone replies and says, "Pretty sure it saved her life. Especially with the ambulance taking that long, every slice or stab becomes way deadlier." And someone else says, "Exactly that. She couldn't even contain herself to catch OP alone later, which in a twisted way was a good thing for OP. Because if you just walked away at that point, OP probably would have just shrugged it off as another weird moment, only to have her catch OP in the bathroom or something later." And this was the last time we have ever heard from the OP. And oh my god, what a scary, scary situation. But hopefully the OP's arm is okay and doesn't have severe nerve damage and is able to recover. And hopefully that psychopath of a lady goes to jail for a very, very long time.
If weight loss feels like a losing battle, this summer can be different. That's why I wanted to tell you about Weight Loss by Hims. Hims now offers access to an affordable range of FDA-approved GLP-1 medications, including the Wegovy pill and the Wegovy pen. With Wegovy, you can lose up to 20% of your body weight when combined with diet and exercise, and it works by helping regulate your appetite so you can eat less and keep the weight off. And the whole process happens online. You'll connect with a licensed provider who determines if treatment is right for you. And if prescribed, your medication is delivered right to your door. No insurance necessary. You also get access to 24/7 messaging with your care team, plus lifestyle and nutrition support through the Hims app. Ready to reach your goals? Visit hims.com/snook to get a personalized, affordable plan that gets you. That's HIMS.com/snook. That's hims.com/snook. Weight Loss by Hims is not available in all 50 states. Wegovy is the registered trademark of Novo Nordisk AS. To get started and learn more, including important safety information, Wegovy clinical study information, and restrictions, visit hims.com. Thanks for Hims for sponsoring today's video, and now let's get back into it.
This guy won't leave me alone, and I'm terrified. It's midnight, and I'm up in my apartment, wide awake and crying, with no one awake to talk to, so I decided to make my first Reddit account. I am 23 female, moved to a new city about 8 months ago to try and pursue some childhood dreams. Family is 5 hours away, and we do not have a good relationship. I don't have a single close friend yet because I've really just been focused on getting settled in / getting used to my job / college and all that. I am working as a waitress / bartender. I work at a small restaurant and work nights to work with my school schedule. Weekday nights are pretty dead, and I start at 4 p.m. I had a regular guy that came in every night. Really nice guy. Always tipped well and always complimented me. After a few months, he asked me out, but he's 38, and I politely told him, hey, you're a super sweet guy, and you'll find a great girl, but I'm not interested in that big of an age gap. I never reject people in a mean way. I would never want to hurt anyone, but that age gap for me is like 10 years too much. And he started bringing me treats, coffee, flowers over the next little while, and every time I asked him not to, I was really firm in telling him no. He came into my apartment building, which I never gave him the address to, so either he went to my wallet or followed me home. I don't know, but it was terrifying. I told him to leave, and I thought he did. It was right after I got done school. After an hour went by, I went down to leave for work, and he was waiting at my car in the parking lot. I tried to talk to him normally out of pure fear because we were the only ones down there, and he was not nice, in the slightest. It was like talking to a different person that was 2 weeks ago. He's not allowed at my work or apartment. I blocked him on everything because that experience gave me such bad vibes. I genuinely thought he was going to kill me in the moment. If a group of people didn't come down in the elevator, that is. A few days after this, I found an AirTag slipped in a small pocket in my purse. I can't prove it was him, but I'm assuming probably one time when he was the only one in the restaurant and went in the back and left my stuff out. He followed me on Instagram when we first met, and I have pictures with my 2 closest friends from high school who live in another country now. They got weird messages from a fake account claiming to be me, asking if I ever gave them any of my passwords because I was locked out of all my accounts. Again, can't prove it was him, but that struck me as extremely odd. Today, I walked up to my friend at school who I study with every day, and he's like, hey, I didn't know you had a boyfriend. He was just in here looking for you. And then told me he also was told to stay away from me. My heart dropped because I know exactly who it was. I was really hoping that would be the end of it, but now I don't know what to do at all. And now let's get into some of the top comments. One person says, first thing tomorrow, get a restraining order and tell them that he is not taking no for an answer and has violated your privacy from being a customer to now a stalker who knows where you live. Ask them to search your car for any trackers as well. Second thing, tell your manager at work what happened. Third thing, tell every single one of your friends the same thing. Get some pepper spray. Then, no longer be polite or courteous. If you see him, call the police. Keep your belongings with you at all times and keep very little in your purse so that if someone does put another tracker on you, you will see it. Always remember to never be polite when it comes to your safety. I don't care whose feelings you hurt, your safety is more important. And someone else says, call the cops, get a restraining order. And someone else says, call the police and campus security immediately. This is serious. Call your family too. I would drive 5 hours for my kids. And then the OP comes back 3 days later with an update. And let's get into it. It reads, posted in here a few days ago, and a lot of people wanted an update. I'm assuming this is how I should update. If you want to see the first post, it's on my page. We'll probably delete both in a few days, but thought I'd update and say thanks for the advice. So number 1, I have a safe place to stay. I called my ex-boyfriend, and he told me to come stay with him. His apartment has way higher security than mine, and there's no way for anyone who doesn't live there to access the parking lot, which is where he kept waiting for me, so that's a huge thing. Since he was coming to my school, I'm doing most of my classes online. I have 2 in-person classes on Thursday, but my ex is going to drop me off / pick me up after. They already had an interaction after class yesterday, and Stalker wasn't so tough anymore when he saw my ex get out of the car. He backed down pretty fast. So really praying that was enough to keep him away from me. I never told him about my ex being in the city because I didn't really think about it. When I met him, I told him I didn't know a single person, and I thought he was preying on me because of that. I also just had to quit my job. It wasn't worth the risk, and I'll be able to find out another serving job somewhere. Yes, police were called already, but I didn't have any proof of real threats, and he hadn't hurt me yet. So although he was forced to leave the premises, police couldn't really do much. I don't know whether or not he's found where I'm staying yet, but hopefully he's too intimidating to ever try to come into my ex's apartment. My ex has more than one car as well, which is a blessing because mine is bright pink, so very easy to spot. I've been driving his. This whole thing sucks. I hate staying home. I also hate not working. I'm really lucky my ex haven't seen since we were 19 is helping me though. God bless with that one. Been almost 4 years and we're already best friends again. And now let's get into some of the top comments. One user says, okay, first of all, this is terrifying. It's also infuriating. I'm really glad that her ex is a cool dude and is helping her out. It pisses me off that law enforcement is so useless with stuff like this. And someone else says, hope to hell OP alerts her campus security so they can keep a lookout. I would also give the air tag to the cops and make a report if I could. I don't get how guys who do that think someone is going to fall for them. And someone else says, the worst part is that almost every woman who has ever worked in customer service has a story like that. Maybe not one where things escalated that far, but where men think that job politeness means you want to marry them. Like, no, I'm telling you to have a good day and enjoy your meal / coffee / whatever because it's required, not because I care about you. And we have never received another update from the OP ever again. So hopefully that creeper left her alone and hopefully she is safe and never bothered by that guy again. You know how sometimes you're trying to lock in and get some work done, but you just feel like you need something to help you focus? That's actually why I started using Ultra pouches. I've been using them for about a few weeks now, and they've honestly become one of those things I like keeping next to my desk when I'm working. The first thing that stood out to me is that they are completely nicotine-free and caffeine-free. So if you like the whole pouch experience, but don't want nicotine or caffeine, this is a really solid option. And to be honest, I love them. I'm gonna pop one in for the rest of the ad read. Ultra partnered with leading neuroscientists to formulate them with nootropics and adaptogens designed to give you immediate focus and smooth energy that lasts about 1 to 2 hours. They use ingredients like affinity, PX, L-theanine, alpha GPC, and vitamins B6 and B12. And for me, the biggest thing is that it's just a really easy way to get that focused feeling without caffeine or nicotine. I will literally keep these at my desk and pop one in when I'm about to sit down and work. They also have 5 different amazing flavors: cool mint, wintergreen, tropical, watermelon, and my favorite, blue raz. My favorite is 100% the blue raspberry, and oh my god, like the smell of these things is insane, and they taste just like the blue Sour Patch Kids, if you've ever had those. But like, this is literally my new favorite smell, and it tastes so good. And so not only does it get you focused, but it tastes great when you're using it. And Ultra is blowing up right now. They are trusted by athletes, entrepreneurs, and engineers, and they're backed by Dak Prescott, Joe Burrow, and over 100 other professional football players. So if you want to try them for yourself, Ultra is the ultimate guilt-free pouch, delivering instant focus and mental clarity without nicotine or caffeine. New customers can use code SNOOK to get 15% off at takeultra.com. That's takeultra.com for 15% off with code SNOOK. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support my show and tell them I sent you. Thank you so much for Ultra for sponsoring today's video. And now, let's get back into it. OP's coworker is a stalker and her neighbor. Summer 2017.
I was working at a pharmacy. I had been there for 4 years. A new staff pharmacist around my age, 28 at the time, was hired. He seemed odd, but I was nice to him because everyone else was rude to him immediately, and I felt bad. He asked me way too many questions. Some I answered, and others crossed boundaries. Questions about ex-boyfriends. Fast forward a month. He said that he was moving. He lived on the east side of my city, and he said that he was moving to the west side, where I live. He said that he actually found a house near the intersection of where I live. I asked him what street, and he wouldn't tell me. He also said that the owner will live there for a few more months, so I forgot about it. Fast forward a few months later, and my mom and stepdad told me they met our new neighbor. Our house is one house away from the intersecting street. This house is on the intersecting street, so we are one house away, but the backyards connect. My mom said he seemed like a really nice young man. The next time I worked with him, I asked if that was him, and he said no. I let it go for a little bit. Then, another time, he started asking me questions, describing my backyard and asking if my street name started with the letter that it did. So, he admitted it was him. I asked him how he knew it was my house. He said he saw me in the backyard. He decided not to say anything to me. The next few months were weird. I was still friendly with him as a coworker, but he crossed some boundaries. He knew my birthday was coming up. My birthday and address are in the pharmacy database, and my brother was asking for ideas for what to get for me. I wanted a certain phone case, so I was browsing on my phone to send my brother links to the ones I wanted. He would always look over my shoulder when I was on my phone. He saw that I typed in phone case. He got me the phone case and a $150 pre-loaded Visa gift card. I told him, in a very professional manner, that I felt the gift was inappropriate and probably against company policy. I walked over to his mailbox while he was at work to return it. He kept putting it back in my mailbox with messages of begging me to accept it because I make him so happy. I ended up giving it away. Not much long after that, I took my coworker, not him, a female, to the zoo. I had some of it on my Snapchat story. He kept messaging me on Snapchat asking questions about it, and it was bothering me, so I blocked him. After that, he called my mother. He got her number from when they first met and told her that he needed to talk to her. He told her he needed to come over to talk, so she invited him in and they talked. I was very alarmed by this, but she thought it was very endearing. I told him once again at work that he crossed boundaries, and he said that he does everything that he does because he cares about me. He didn't understand where I was coming from at all. Those were the most standout things he has done. Also, a lot of pestering about, tell me who your boyfriend is, and trying to look at pictures in my phone to figure it out. Going through coworkers' phones and reading their conversations with me, even impersonating them while I was not at work to get info. One time, he even cornered me at work and wouldn't let me leave until I told him what characteristics I look for in a guy. God, that is so creepy. This guy just, it's insane to me how a workplace allows that to go on. That's just insane. How does the OP not go to the boss right away and the boss is like, you got cornered by this guy and he asked you what characteristics you look for in a guy? That is so creepy. And this guy, I wish doing that sort of shit would get you in jail because just, God, people are so creepy. But the OP continues and says, he also was mad at me when I got a birth control prescription filled, even though it was being used to correct hormonal problems from another birth control. I started being mean to him at work because I couldn't take it anymore. He then told me that I was treating him that way because he is a nice guy who cares about me and that I am looking for a jerk. It became a very hostile work environment, and I left about 2 months ago. This is a side note. Other coworkers and neighbors hate him because he likes to start confrontations. He also plays he said, she said with people for entertainment. The neighbors have called the police on him and think he is crazy. I haven't heard from him at all since leaving, but I saw my former coworker last week at a get-together, and she said that he is trying to get her to tell him where I work now. He told her that he sees me getting into my car every morning, so he knows I have a job. That is terrifying. I told my mom this, and she didn't take it seriously. She never believed I was in danger. I would just like to get an outside perspective. When I come home late, I run to the door, and if no one is home, I will wait to take a shower. I am still scared. And now let's get into some of the top comments. One person says, I have been a pharmacy technician for 10 years now. I have run into a couple of odd pharmacists myself. Why did you not report his actions to the company? You could have filed a harassment complaint, maybe contacted the board of pharmacy to see if they could do anything. He sounds like a complete stalker and should have been reported. And the OP responds and says, I went back and forth on doing this, but am worried about retaliation, because if he loses his job or license, he will know it is due to me, and he will still be my neighbor, and he could do something worse. And that commenter replies to the OP and says, it is horrible to live in fear, but always remember that if he's doing it to you, he's doing it to someone else. Someone eventually has to stand up and make a difference. I was assaulted back in May. Luckily, no physical harm. I was concerned about this person finding me if I reported them, because I don't know where they live, but they were in my neighborhood shopping center. I stopped thinking of just myself and looked at the bigger picture. If this person easily attacked me, but didn't go through with hitting me, they could easily do it to someone else and actually do harm. Your situation does make it more challenging because he's your neighbor. I would hate to say move away, but again, that's living in fear. But at the same time, do you really want to live next to him? Waiting for the what if? And someone else says, your mom is an idiot. Beware, she may give him the info he wants. And the OP responds and says, I feel bad for making people think this. She's not an idiot, so her reaction to this is even more puzzling. But she wouldn't give him any more info. She just doesn't see him as potentially dangerous, and that is what frustrates me. And someone else says, please be careful. I dated a guy like this who did things like this after we broke up. I had to call the cops and get a restraining order. You should definitely call the police and report him and have a serious sit down with your mom. I don't know what I would do if my mom didn't believe me about something like this. And the OP responds and says, it hurts. She always acts so worried about me in other circumstances, long drives or going somewhere at night, but this doesn't worry her at all. I told her about what my coworker said to me about him watching me go to my car every morning. She said that she thinks that is nonsense. Also, my younger brother also lives at home, and he is a hothead. By my own discretion, I haven't told him everything. He does know he's a creep. Certain details would make him fly off the handle, and my mom is always saying, make sure you don't tell him about XYZ. And God, I feel so bad for the OP here, because I mean, like, her mom, her own mother is giving this creep information about her, which is just so wrong. And someone else says, basically, full-on stalking. Don't doubt your instincts at all. Guy is a piece of crap. And finally, someone else says, take it from someone who has ignored the little red flags. These are big red flags. Document everything, any interaction. Examples of screenshot texts, Snapchats, etc. from him. Write down any face-to-face contact. The next time he approaches or contacts you, very clearly states you want no contact with him in any way, shape, or form. Document the date, time, and conversation. If it continues, call the police non-emergency line. Tell them you want to file a report. They will send out an officer. Tell the officer everything and ask him to knock on the guy's door and tell him you don't want any contact. If the guy contacts you after that, call the police every time. And someone else says, I cannot believe your mom. You need to have a serious talk with her. What you have just described is frightening. Running to the house from the car? not taking a shower if you are the only person at home, etc. And she needs to realize you are so afraid you are considering legal actions. He is not a nice young man. He is an obsessive. Make sure you have adequate privacy in your personal spaces, blinds, drapes, etc. Check the house locks regularly as well as around your house. I don't want to scare you. I want you to be proactive. Wishing you to stay safe, peace, and love. And then we don't hear from the OP for 4 years. But 4 years later, the OP comes back with an update titled, Update on Stalker I posted about 4 years ago. And it reads as follows. Hi everyone. Here is an update from a post I made a few years ago about a scary neighbor. Last night, I looked out the window and there were multiple police cars and an ambulance. I found out later, my neighbor married a young girl from the same country as him. She doesn't speak much English and doesn't have family here. She has been here a few months. He has seldom let her leave the house, even to go to the backyard. My other neighbors managed to catch her outdoors once or twice and managed to get her phone number. She said he has cameras all over the house and outside. Last night, he was beating on her and accusing her of cheating, and the cops were called. After that, he shut off her phone service. Last night, he attacked her with a knife, and my neighbors heard her screaming, and they called the cops with her. She says he was trying to kill her. She was taken away by an ambulance, and he was arrested. Multiple guns and knives were found in the house. I'm going to cut this post short because I'm typing this on a tablet with no keyboard, and it is getting cumbersome. Oh my God, that is so scary. But let's get into some of the top comments. One user says, this is why you should always trust your gut. He gave you the creeps for a reason. And someone else says, I bet your mom takes stuff like this seriously from now on. I got pissed when you said she wasn't in your previous post. Just because someone is friendly doesn't mean they aren't dangerous. And oh my God, this entire situation is so horrible. I feel so bad for that poor girl that was with this creep and she got stabbed or just attacked with a knife. I hope she's okay and survived. But also, this is like the best case scenario for the OP. Like, this guy is obviously crazy, and this guy could have easily, killed the OP or done something horrific. I mean, like the police said, he had multiple knives and guns in his house. Who knows if he would have flown off the handles at some point if the OP turned him down one more time. God, like that last commenter said, always trust your gut. It's usually right. Entitled X ghosted my friend, then demands a room in our house. This isn't my ex, but my best friend's ex. She and I have been friends for years and live together now. And now we live with my parents who adore her like their own daughter. I got her permission to post this. My friend, 30 female, came to the US from Latin America at 19 as a student. She also started dating her ex, 29 male, after many years of hanging out with each other, both during vacations and online. I knew them both since high school, and they seemed good together. She tried to convince him to move together a few years before their breakup. He was living with his parents who wanted him to leave. At this point, she had already finished college and had a job in the US that granted her a visa. He had quit college and worked part-time. From what I can gather, he didn't want to leave his parents' place because free food and no rent. So instead, she asked me if I wanted to move with her so we could afford a bigger place. I said yes, and we moved together, adopted a cat and a dog, and pretty much became Grace and Frankie. Around the start of the pandemic, things got bad for them. This is what I was told and what I saw. They never talked or hang out or anything. I was in a breakup at that time myself, so I wasn't really on top since I had my own issues. But my friend cried so much. She didn't even get a happy birthday. After a year of no contact, she assumed the relationship was over. She changed all her social media to single, which he could see, took him off her emergency contacts at work and at her doctor's, and just moved on with her life. This year, my stepdad's health has gone downhill, and my mom needs help caring for him. She works full-time as a therapist. I work from home, and my job is very flexible. So I put in the idea of all of us living together, and I'll care for my dad. Eventually, I'll care for my mom too. My mom loved the idea and asked my bestie if she wanted to move with us too so we could all be together, and also because at this point, I can't see myself not being in the same house as her. We've come to terms in being single ladies. Heck, we've joked that one of us should adopt and we've become parent/aunt dynamic. And now the joke is more serious since I'm considering it, and she is incredibly supportive. No, we're not dating. She's straight, I'm bi. We're just incredibly close after all the BS we've lived through together. We found a perfect house, 4-bedroom, 2.5 bathrooms, enough space, a yard, everything we need. And we got it after a bunch of difficulties and arrangements. Since I don't have immediate plans for adopting yet, I have a ton of paperwork and years of planning ahead. We made the extra room into our office/gaming hub. We both work at the same place. Totally not on purpose, they were hiring and we both needed visas. And as proud first-time homeowners, we posted pictures. Her ex, who by this point has been MIA for 3 years, messaged her saying he was so excited to move into the new house. Uh-oh. She told him this was her house with me and my parents. He said since they were a couple, she should kick me out and my parents so he could move in. I want to point out that my parents bought the house. We, friend and I, will pay them our part over the years. And if she decides to move out, I will finish paying and I'll buy her part out. This is all in paper and signed. So she obviously told him he was not moving with us and that he ghosted her, so there was no relationship. He went on a tirade that he never broke up with her, that she was abandoning him, that she never cared about him, etc. I got pissed off, took the phone from her, and told him he could live in a bear cave for all I care, but to leave my friend and our house alone. He went ballistic and began calling us some names, referring to the LGBTQ+ community that would probably get this post flagged, so I will leave it to your imagination. My friend started crying, and I was absolutely done with him. I never thought he was abusive, but my friend confessed to me that this was not new. He always had issues with the two of us living together and accused her often of cheating on him with me. We ended the call, and I told her she needed to block him for her own sanity's sake. She deserves so much better than this man-child. She got me to leave my abusive ex when I was in high school. She took me to the hospital when he beat me up and called my parents. My friend is family, and I'll be dead before I let some bastard with commitment issues make her suffer. Since then, he's gone on a major campaign in our friend group to say my friend abandoned him and left him homeless since apparently he canceled his lease after he saw we bought a house. This guy has to be insane. He also claims we're lesbian Satanists that probably abuse our pets and are mooching off my parents. Most of my friends know the story and know my friend and I moved together, at first out of necessity, then we just don't see ourselves not living together. So, yeah, my friend's ex is a nutcase, and if he ever gets close to her again, I will personally give him a free vasectomy. Update. Hey everyone, a bit quick on the update, but some people asked if our friends knew where the ex was hiding for 3 years, and I was actually curious. Since I was down for the count at work today, I had time to check with my friends and find out more. Apparently, my bestie did ask them, but they didn't know. From what they tell me, he kind of got back into everyone's lives in the last year or so, but he was part of the group because they were besties' friends, not really his. I don't personally know many of his own friends, to be fair.
I did track down the ex's sister thanks to social media and poked her for info. She is always very nice and always treated my bestie right. I told her what her brother did, and her response was very interesting. Apparently, the ex was dating other girls until his parents decided to move outside the US. He is now living on a friend's couch. The last she heard was a couple of days past when they went out for coffee. He was saying he got this brand new house and was going to move in this week. As far as she knew, my bestie begged him to take her back and let her live in his house. I did correct her and said that no, bestie is living with me and my parents in our new house. Her reaction was, of course he lied, and just thanked me for letting her know that he was bullshitting. Aside that, I do want to report we are safe. He doesn't know where we live, and most people don't because we're not really ready to open Pandora's box and having friends over yet. We also need time to figure out who we want in the know. We won't be going to the police unless something serious happens, just because this is technically not a crime. But we are going to keep recordings and print out text conversations. If he tries anything, we have all our papers in order. And just in case, I plan to contact our company's HR so they know the situation. The company we work for can provide us free legal counsel if things get bad. And now let's get into some of the top comments. One person says, "This made me laugh so hard, but get cameras just in case." And the OP responds and says, "We have a full security system and we are getting a proper guard dog." Someone else says, "Wow, the ex-boyfriend sounds like a real psycho. She should have nothing to do with him ever again. And who in their right mind would think if you don't speak to someone for 3 years you're still dating? And your bestie, it really took her a whole year of no contact to assume they were done? Really? Come on." If you're dating somebody so seriously that you're talking about moving in together and then you don't hear from them for a couple of weeks, max 1 month, you would assume you're done. Not a year. These people sound kind of ridiculous. And the OP responds and says, "I think she was in denial, to be honest. My friend doesn't really have a family of her own. That's why my parents are very loving towards her. Her ex was her only family for years. And as someone who came alone to the US at first, it's pretty hard to say goodbye to a partner that was with you through that move. I personally had a hard time letting go of my own relationship a few years past, and my breakup was miles healthier." And another user says, "Wait, so 3 years later, he's like, 'Can't wait to be with my girlfriend I haven't talked to or seen in years'? That's next level entitlement." And then the OP comes back about a week later with an update, and let's get into it. "Well, seems I'm stuck in a saga now. Once again, I have full permission from my friend to share this. As my first post said, my friend's ex ghosted her and then decided to try to move in with her, and by extension, me. After years of no contact, my friend told him where he can go. For a bit, it was actually pretty calm. She did cut contact and block him as many suggested, and between the two of us, my bestie and I did some culling in our friend group of people we knew were passing information to her ex. We've settled in the new house together, and she actually gets along better with my parents sometimes than I do. Guess she's the golden child now. Sadly, eventually we had to adult and get much needed food. We went to Walmart in town together, and by some bad luck, we crossed paths with her ex. I wish all of it was just awkward glances and each on their way. But no. At first, he tried to talk to her. My friend said she didn't want to speak to him and didn't want him near her. I mostly reminded him I wanted to rip his spine and beat him to death with it. Sadly, that didn't deter him from following us around like the most obnoxious toilet paper stuck to shoe. We did our shopping and headed to the car with him still after us. God, this is creepy as hell. I told my friend for her to get into the car and start the gear and lock it while I loaded the groceries. Her ex then decided to appeal to me
and talked to my friend about taking him back. I don't know what power held me from committing a felony, but pretty sure I've earned a PhD in self-control. I told him, in no uncertain terms, where he could put his reconciliation, and that if he kept following us, I would make sure his legs were out of the equation. I got in the car, and my friend began driving back when we noticed a car following us. And we knew it was following us because the direction we were going was not usual. To rule out a possible neighbor, we actually did a full U-turn almost back to the store. Stopped to get some fast food, ate in the parking lot, then headed back home. And the same car was after us. I really hope the OP calls the police. Now, as much as I talk of violence, I have to admit I was terrified. So was my friend. Neither of us have a gun permit. Best we can carry is a can of pepper spray. And we know her ex does have guns. So, yeah, we were not comfortable at that point. Instead, we headed past our neighborhood and, following the usual advice from TV, drove to a police station. Once in it, we did write a statement and I got scolded about the confrontation in Walmart's parking lot. The reason we know it's her ex was because when we got home, she got a call from him and a new phone number saying, "I know where you live now." Oh my God. We immediately called the police, so there's where we stand. Cops just left a few minutes ago, and my brother is going to be staying over for a few weeks until we get the RO and some sturdier looks. Also, I wanted to clarify some things. A lot of people asked why originally my friend took a whole year of being ghosted to accept the relationship was over. While I get it, trust me, please understand that when my friend came to the US, she had no one. She's cut contact with her toxic family. She literally only had her ex. I moved into the US a year later, and she also came alone at first. But my parents were able to become citizens, and I had them. When her relationship died out, she lost not just her boyfriend, but his family, who pretty much were as close to her own family as she could get. It's not easy, and I personally can't imagine how lonely she felt. I could spend Christmas with my parents. She had no one for that first year. So please, don't judge her on it, because she doesn't deserve it. It's not easy to be an immigrant when you have no place to return to. And then the OP makes a quick update that says, "I wanted to do an update, but I haven't had the time. Thank you for all your well wishes and advice. We are certainly taking measures for security. We are working with the police, who have been absolutely great the whole process and are helping Bestie to get that RO. For now, we have my brother using our couch. He is ex-military and has a gun permit, so we feel comfortable with him home. We still have no idea what's going on with my friend's ex, and to be sincere, aside from focusing on our safety, I don't have time to play Scooby-Doo. I did send a message to his sister warning her that we will press charges if he keeps creeping on us. We also did find an AirTag hidden under in the car's bumper. It was immediately removed and turned in to the police. Other than that, we are doing fairly good, enjoying the space and the yard. And to our new French aunt, we absolutely love to have you as a family." And now let's get into some of the top comments. One user says, "That sounds terrifying. I am so sorry you had to go through that, OP. I hope you're able to get the restraining order." And another user says, "OP, get a security system with cameras and a Ring camera, and make sure they get the street too. That way, if he starts showing up, you have proof. Also, don't be shy about saying you have a security system post signs. That maybe be the deterrent needed." And then the OP makes another edit to the post that says, "Unfortunately, I have an update." And let's get into the update. This reads, "This is an ongoing mess with my best friend's ex and now her ex-mother-in-law. I have her permission to post this. Now, my bestie never married her ex, but for simplicity's sake, I'll refer to her ex's parents as ex-mother-in-law and ex-father-in-law. Bestie and I live together with my parents in a newly bought house. She's pretty much a daughter to my parents, and we are platonic life partners by this point. Her ex ghosted her for 3 years. and has been hounding her ever since he found out we bought a house, trying to get her to take him back and live in our house. We've tried reaching to the police, but since nothing serious has happened, we have reached a wall and can only wait. Her ex-in-laws no longer live in the US, but they did come for Thanksgiving. Though my bestie is no longer dating their son, she offered to pick them up at the airport and take them to their hotel. Reason I was told was they would do that for her when she was in college. I didn't like it since her ex is a problem, but she wanted to use the chance to ask her ex's parents to intervene and maybe get him off her back. I still didn't like it, but I figure they probably were okay based on how she described them. And I was completely wrong. My bestie arrived in tears and with a scratch mark on her cheek. Immediately, I asked her what happened, and now I'm seeing red. The next part comes from how my bestie described things to me. Bestie told me picking them up went well, and they had talked about the old days. They asked my bestie if they could stop in a nearby restaurant they always liked, and bestie, being her usual self, decided to treat them to lunch. All hell broke loose at the restaurant though. Apparently, her ex-mother-in-law demanded to know why bestie did not take her abusive stalker ex back. According to ex-mother-in-law, my bestie is responsible for her baby boy since she was his first girlfriend and they were married in the eyes of God. To start, they never legally married. And bestie is an atheist, so yeah. Bestie tried to defuse the situation, explaining she has moved on with her life after 3 years not knowing where he was. She did try to ask her ex-mother-in-law to convince her son to leave her alone, and that bestie just doesn't want him in her life anymore. Ex-father-in-law seemed to agree with her and apologized for all the heartache and pain she went through. Ex-mother-in-law, however, took over the conversation and began screaming that thanks to my bestie, her son had no life, that apparently my bestie was responsible for her firstborn not having a wife or children. The least she could do is take responsibility and become the submissive wife he deserved. Ex-father-in-law tried to pull his wife away, more than likely because they were causing a very public scene. Bestie simply said that she would never consider marriage to her ex. She then said it might be best to take the food to go and for them to go to their hotel. She paid for all the food, despite ex-father-in-law offering to cover his and his wife's meal, and drove them to the hotel. At the hotel is where things went from 1 to 100. Ex-mother-in-law had spent the whole drive escalating demands, from taking him back to marrying him, to have a child and give her son the house as the man in the relationship. Ex-father-in-law apparently kept telling her to stop, but there was no way she could be quiet. Finally, my bestie had enough, stopped the car, and told ex-mother-in-law she will never take a failure of a man like her baby boy as a husband, let alone give birth to his spawn. That she was glad no other woman had stayed long-term with him since he really won't be a good addition to the gene pool. I gotta admit, I am proud of her for that last one. Ex-mother-in-law went crazy and jumped on my friend. Her husband luckily grabbed her, but she still managed to get my friend on the cheek. She began screaming she was the reason her family had split, called her horrible words, and said she wished our house burnt with all of us inside. Ex-father-in-law just told my friend to drop their bags on the sidewalk and drive away while he held back his demon of a wife. And bestie did exactly that. Next thing she did was drive back to us. She was not so much hurt by the insults or even the attack, but more the notion that a woman she once saw as a second mother would treat her like this. I told her to just relax a bit. So she's been watching some movies with the dogs while I write this and do some work. Tomorrow we're both calling out and just having a girls' day with my mom. I did get in touch with the ex's sister, and let her know what happened. She already knew from her dad and asked me if Bestie was pressing charges. She should, but she's not. I tried to convince her, but it's a sore topic for her. So for her emotional well-being, I am not going to push it. The sister said she appreciates we're not pressing charges and that she will make sure her family doesn't bother us in any way. Apparently, she already had her brother moved outside the city. Not sure how or where, but I'm glad he's gone. So hopefully, we're done. We're going to avoid going out too often until we know the ex-monster-in-law is gone from the city. It's not a small city by any means, but I wouldn't put it past these crazies to try to stalk my bestie. Update. After Thanksgiving dinner, my mom sat with my bestie to have a serious talk. She told her she didn't want to diagnose her, but she was showing clear signs that she needed help, and therapy could be an option. They had a discussion about it, and my friend agreed to seek professional help. Since she lives with my mom, she's not an option. But mom is going to help her find someone. We just came from filing a police report. My friend won't press charges, but we made a paper trail to ensure that it's at least on the record. She apologized for not doing it immediately and for going to meet her ex-in-laws. I told her I understand she's going through a lot of things. We'll see how things go, but she's like a sister to me, and I refuse to let her go through it alone. As for people saying I have feelings for her, please stop. Like, seriously, stop. She is my family, and I don't see her in any romantic or intimate way. It's annoying that people assume just because I'm bi and have a strong friendship, it means I have romantic feelings. And to the person who made a comment about her ex-in-laws being entitled or Muslim, that is inappropriate and extremely racist. It's the same mentality that my friend and I have to constantly deal with because we are Hispanics. I seriously dislike people like this. Update 2, just a small update. My bestie found a therapist and is working things out. Since she just started, there's no big, she's all better and back to how she was change. This probably will take months, but my parents and I will support her the whole way. We haven't heard from the psycho ex-mother-in-law or her son, though the ex-sister-in-law sent us a message via a mutual friend that her parents were gone and will never hear from them or the rest of her family again. I send her a message back thanking her, but that I also hope this is the last interaction we ever have. The one thing my parents and I put our foot down was that Bestie had to block everyone from that family in all her social media, and she agreed. We did go again to the police, but it was sweep to the domestic matter mindset. We're still pushing to get an RO, and hopefully we'll get a date for court sometime next year. The process is very lengthy. And now let's get into some of the top comments. One user says, pressing charges will expedite a restraining order. Your bestie seriously needs to rethink her decision. The ex-mother-in-law is deranged and dangerous. Another very good reason to press charges is to establish documentation of the ex-mother-in-law's violent behavior. If, hopefully not, a fire does happen, documentation will point the authorities in the right direction as to who possibly started it. And the OP replies and says, I absolutely agree, but I also know right now is not the right time to push it. I'm hoping my mom can talk to her about it. And someone else says, I know your BFF doesn't want to press charges right now, but would she let you take pictures of her injury just in case? And the OP responds and says, Mom did that part. She was just being stubborn about going to a clinic to get the scratch check. But my mom said for medical reasons, it would be good to have a picture in case it gets infected. And someone else says, I'm so sorry your friend was victim of that crazy ex-mother-in-law. While I do think she should press charges against her ex-mother-in-law, I understand she's still very vulnerable right now, and she doesn't want this to make her feel even worse. Would it be possible to wait until your friend feels better so she can press charges when she feels more confident? That's a possibility I thought of, but I don't know if it would be possible to do. I also wish the best for your friend. And the OP responds and says, that's our hope. My mom wants to talk to her about it. maybe tomorrow or the day after. Depends how she feels. And someone else says, you need to make her understand that by refusing to press charges, she is putting all of you at risk. She lives in the same house as you guys, and these psychos know that. She is putting all of you at risk by refusing to treat this lunatic family with the seriousness required. And someone else says, as harsh as this sounds, I hope this is a learning experience for your bestie. There is no good outcome from interacting with this family, and expecting them to protect her over their own family member is wishful thinking and unrealistically optimistic. Good on you for doing your best to get her to press charges. However, if she chooses not to, and this escalates any further, that is unfortunately on her, and you may need to step back from the situation for your own sanity. Unfortunately, you can't help people who aren't willing to help themselves. Best of luck to you. You have infinitely more patience than I would in this situation. And someone replies and says, I would also say, think about your involvement. You called the other person's sister? Sometimes it's best to just listen to your friend instead of maybe involving yourself on that side of the situation. Now you want your mom to get involved by talking to your best friend. That could be a lot of pressure on your friend. Sometime good intentions go astray, and we have never heard from the OP ever again, so hopefully that entire family just left the OP and the OP's bestie alone. But this, in my opinion, could have been a lot worse. That ex-mother-in-law is a lunatic, and thank God she didn't get her hands on the OP's best friend anymore. I mean, she did get scratched, but realistically, it could have been a lot worse if the bestie's ex-father-in-law didn't get involved. And also, it's good that the OP's bestie's ex-boyfriend, God, that's a mouthful, was moved away somehow, because that guy seemed to be becoming a real problem. And so hopefully he leaves them all alone. But God, what a mess of a situation. I, 26 female, found out that my husband, 27 male, has been keeping a secret box of mementos on the top shelf of our closet, and I don't know what to do about it or if I should even bring it up. I honestly don't know how the hell I'm supposed to talk about this. I am genuinely in disbelief. So, some backstory. My husband, let's call him Lee, and I have been together since our sophomore year in high school. We were each other's first everythings. And for the most part, I feel like we honestly have a picturesque marriage. I'm currently 5 months pregnant with our first child, and have taken it upon myself to DIY the guest bedroom into a nursery. But to do that, I wanted to sort through the stuff in there and get rid of anything unnecessary. I think it's relevant to say that I'm pretty short, 5'2". So I don't really store things up high since I can't reach them. But my husband's a foot taller than me, so he doesn't have this tendency, which is how I found the memento box on the top shelf. It was just a plain cardboard box, so I didn't think much of it at first. But since I didn't remember putting it up there, I wanted to see if it was something that needed to go into storage or if it was just junk. I don't know what I was expecting, but inside the box there was a photo album, a trash bag, and a black leather bag. The album just had my name plus Lee's written on the cover, so I thought it'd be something sweet, because Lee has a tendency to gift me sentimental things. But no. The album was full of explicit pictures of myself, all of them marked with dates and a short journal-like entry. The first one was from our first time from when we were teens, and the latest one was marked from the night I surprised him with my pregnancy announcement. Most of the pictures are poor quality, but some are clearly of me sleeping after the deed. These journal entries talk about how he ranks each experience and his favorite part of it, like some weird logbook. Inside the bags were some of my lingerie and even some old razors and hairbrushes.
I don't know why on earth he keeps them, but he has 2 bags full. I don't know how or what to do. I mean, is this normal behavior? Is this some twisted form of romance on his part? A part of me feels like I shouldn't feel as disgusted as I am, but this violates my boundaries since I explicitly told him in the past that I was against sending or giving him any explicit photos of myself. Reddit, what do I do? I love my husband, but I'm not sure how to confront him about this. And now let's get into some of the top comments. One user says, no, this is not normal at all. This is also not romantic at all. The fact that he took pictures of you sleeping and has them in an album is incredibly concerning. Him ranking times y'all had intimacy is setting off more red flags. This is creepy and inappropriate behavior. I can't imagine my fiance taking pictures of me sleeping, let alone him keeping a log of our intimate life. Girl, you have to show him the box and demand answers, and don't go easy on him. None of this is okay or normal, and you should really be concerned as to why he thinks any of that is okay. And another user says, taking creepy pictures of you as you sleep unclothed and having explicit photos of you as a minor in general, and then rating every intimate experience with you is not normal at all. The lingerie too and the razors and hairbrushes make it even creepier. This is creepy, obsessed stalker stuff. And someone else says, not normal at all. I would think the poor quality photos are from a hidden camera. This is very disturbing given the fact you explicitly told him no to taking or sending explicit photos, and he completely disregarded and disrespected your wishes. Also, it's gross that he is rating you. Hide the box, wrap it up for Christmas, and give it to him in front of his parents. Let him explain there. And someone else says, at first I was going to be like, oh wow, how sweet. Probably memorabilias of their first dates, etc. But damn, this is kind of disturbing. And then the OP comes back 5 months later with an update, and let's get into it. The OP says, so I'm not sure if anyone cares, and while I didn't reply to any of the comments, I did end up talking with my husband about this just a few days ago. I'm not gonna lie, I wanted to just act like I didn't see anything and go on with my happy life. But after giving birth to my baby girl about a month and a half ago, I guess the stress and everything added up, and I let it slip in an argument. I don't remember all that was said, but I was exhausted, and my husband, while he's been super helpful and took over the household chores for me and helps out with baby girl, had just been getting on my nerves. I sort of exploded on him in a way I'm not proud of. Worst of all, he wasn't even doing anything. All he had been doing was reminiscing about how I used to make a Sims family of us when I was in uni, and how creepy it was. He said it endearingly. I don't really know why I got so mad, but I basically said something along the lines of how he's the creepy one because he has a secret stash of stuff hidden from me. I felt really bad because he got all pale and went quiet, and then he sort of said he needed space and went to blow off some steam at the shooting range, which he does a lot when he needs to think, so I didn't question it. He came back home around dinner and said he was ready to talk. I asked him about all of the things I found, especially the photos. I reminded him again that I never agreed to making explicit photos of any sort, and he apologized and agreed to burn them. Apparently, our history goes back further than I even knew, as he recounted that we actually met before high school. I had no idea, but his mom, who is a divorce attorney, was the very same one my mom used when she separated from her first husband, not my dad. I called my mom after to confirm, and she told me it was true, but her and my mother-in-law never told me because my mom's divorce was messy and she hates talking about it. Anyways, back to the first meeting thing. My mother-in-law, at the time, often had Lee hang around her office after school. And it was during one of these days that my mom had to take me with her to speak with mother-in-law in person. Lee was actually the boy that I played with in the waiting room. I can't believe he remembered that because I totally forgot it. So according to him, that first meeting was the day he knew I was special. Lee told me that while he had tried to pass it off as a crush, as he got older, it never really went away, which led to him looking into his mom's case files. And my state attorneys have to keep them for 7 years. And he found my mom on Facebook, then my dad in her friends list, and he managed to find my first and last name in order to find my Instagram. He had convinced his parents to let him transfer from his private K-12 school to my public high school, using the excuse that they had a better athletics program, which isn't actually far-fetched since my high school was one of the best in the state for that. Once he found out where I was going, thanks to my dumb self putting it in my bio, I thought that us meeting was a sheer coincidence and that we fell in love naturally. A classic sort of high school sweethearts. But no, Lee had orchestrated it all. And oh my God, is that just insane? But let's continue. I took my daughter with me to stay with my mom and stepdad, while Lee agreed to stay home and let me think. I spoke to my mom as well as mother-in-law and father-in-law. Lee's parents are not happy with him at all, honestly. And mother-in-law is especially mad because of client confidentiality. My mom gave me some good advice, that being that I should reflect on it, and Lee had displayed any other red flag behaviors. I can honestly say that no, he hadn't. But since I know I'm biased, I asked my friends and those close to me if they noticed anything. So far, everything else about Lee seems to check out. I have never felt endangered by him, even when I told him I needed some distance for a few days. I want to make this marriage work, Reddit. But is this something that therapy can fix? And to be honest, no commenters really replied to the OP here, but the OP came back with a small update about a month later, which reads, Lee and I have been going to couples counseling, and he's going to individual therapy. After the whole drama that happened a few months ago, he sort of had a come to Christ moment, where he realized that the way he had been obsessing over the idea of me wasn't the same as a healthy love. We spent a few weeks apart so he could work on himself, and he turned over his device's passwords and accounts to me so that I could go through them and calm my worries because I was really anxious about the explicit photos. Since then, though, we are back in our house and with our baby girl, and our marriage is back on track and better for it. And now let's get into some of the top comments. One user quotes the OP when the OP said, our marriage is back on track and better for it. And the commenter replies and says, she found out he's serial killer levels of creepy. He's been lying to her and manipulating her since she was a child, and that their entire relationship is built on lies. And she's fine with it. And someone else says, everything will be fine as long as she continues to perfectly match his expectations for her. And someone else says, do you think she is eventually going to realize she married her stalker? And someone else says, I'm trying to imagine how it'd feel to find out that my partner of 16 years was this obsessed with me. I think it would very much alter my perspective of who I thought they were. The photos are enough to do that alone, but odd in all the other craziness. I don't know if I could recover from that and move forward with the marriage. Woman finds out her husband has a secret second family. I, F32, just found out that my husband, male 36, has a full-blown secret family because his other wife, female 29, just knocked on my door.
Sorry if this sounds so vague and incomplete. I am confused and my eyes are swollen up. I thought that I had a pretty happy marriage with Jonas. We have been together for over 11 years now and married for 9. We have twins, female 8. Jonas works in a branch of business where he spends 3 months outside and 3 months at home. During this time, he will visit us and we will visit him. It is inconvenient, but he earns really good. So good that I don't need to work if I didn't want to. During all those years, I have never suspected him of cheating. He was always super honest with me and would even tell me about attraction to other people he felt. So this comes all out of the blue for me. Jonas is away on a business trip for the weekend. A woman knocked on my door. She introduces herself as Cherry. When I asked her what it was about, she broke down crying. I took her in, and after calming her down, she started to tell me this story about Jonas. Apparently, she and Jonas have been together for over 6 years and have a little boy who is 3 together. We were both fooled because he keeps his life there completely separate from our life here. He has 2 different sets of social media accounts, and as his parents sadly passed away in a car accident 15 years ago, he didn't have to introduce either of them. At first, I was livid and screamed at her, till I calmed down and realized that she was just a victim. Apparently, Cherry found out our husband has an apartment that was paid for by the company, where he would take me if I visit, through some bank statements. She searched his keys and went snooping. There is where she found out about us and decided she wanted to tell me the truth about thinking for it over 3 months. We both cried our eyes out together, cursed out Jonas, and now she is sleeping on my couch. She is not legally married to Jonas, as he told her the "I don't believe in marriage" spiel. The only legal spouse he has is me. I know I have to divorce him, but maybe I just need some extra advice and a little husband roasting. Also, should I keep in touch with Cherry? And should we introduce our kids? Edit. I guess Reddit only takes stories seriously if it has happened over and over again. Thanks for the few helpful advices I've gotten, and a serious FU to the people making fun of me, calling me a troll. I honestly thought that someone would listen to me here, but I guess it's if I wanted that I need to have better grammar and a less crazy story. Thanks for the people that did though. Cherry has left, and I will pick up my kids from my sisters right now. I will be leaving the house for a few days to get my ducks in a row and begin legal proceedings. And now let's get into some of the top comments. One user says, talk to a lawyer first. Please don't do or say anything that might jeopardize your rights and claims during a divorce, if you choose that path. And another user says, had a friend's dad who did this for over 13 years before getting caught. And as he was doing it between countries, he managed to get legally married in both countries. To the OP, I watched how hard this was on my friend's family when they found out about his dad's other family, and am truly sorry this has happened to you. Please follow everyone's advice and stay calm and cool until you've sought legal advice. Don't let them know it's coming until it's been served. My friend's mom did not do this, and let's just say it did not go as well as it should have. And someone else says, if getting legal help is going to take time, then both you and Cherry should stay cool, calm, and quiet so that you can set the pace with your legal team. Hopefully he doesn't get a bunch of angry texts from Cherry tomorrow and start making moves, getting his own legal team ready, and securing financial assets. And the OP responds and says, this will be too hard. I want to slap him upside down. I guess if Cherry stayed quiet for 3 months, some few weeks won't kill her. And another user says, if this post is real, don't do a damn thing. Your feelings are totally normal, but anything perceived as vengeful can hurt you in court. Your settlement to custody. Don't
do anything. Call a lawyer immediately. Make sure it's a good one. Don't move money around. Don't abandon your house. Don't tell the kids everything yet. It'll be hard, but you need to absolutely pause everything until you have an attorney's advice. The best revenge will be destroying him in divorce court. And someone responds and says, yes, this is so important. Leave him thinking everything is normal and then, well prepared, go to court. Also, get full custody. Do you think she should talk to a friend or parent if he could kick her out? And someone else says, the only problem I can see with staying friends with Cherry is she may be resentful when you get alimony payments and she doesn't. But you two share an experience. You owe her a lot for telling you the truth. And it has been said that the enemy of my enemy is my friend. When you sue for divorce and she sues for palimony, you can work together by providing information to each other. If your kids and her kid can bond as relatives, then that is a good thing. Having allies in the world is a good thing. I would say you should try to work with her. And then the OP comes back the next day with another update, and let's get into it. This reads, thank you guys for your help. I got legal advice today, as well as Cherry. We will be staying in touch through the process and will seek therapy first for us individually, and then for the kids so that they can work out what's happening. As far as the situation with my husband, I have been advised to keep my mouth shut, so I'll be taking the kids to a vacation till my lawyer writes up the divorce agreement and we have enough evidence that he led a double life. Thankfully, Cherry provided us with loads of evidence that he lives with her half the time and that the children are his. Someone suggested hiring a PI to know if he hides more, and some of you suggested that his parents are alive and he is telling us they died just for the convenience, as there could have been another family that he is running away from. I do not know if this is plausible because we met when we were so young, but I guess I can't put anything beside him anymore. Some questions that were open the last time were, for example, how I never found out when he has two sets of social media accounts with the same name. The thing is, he has not two accounts with the same name. He has a double name, which is very common. So the one account is Jonas, last name, and the other account is Henry, last name. Also, he does not use his face as profile pictures. They are different pictures also. The company housing situation is very confusing to me too, but as far as I understand, his company has to provide him with an apartment as his other place so that he doesn't have to pay double rent. I think it's called company housing in the US. And no, I do not want to effing unite the families and stay married to the asshole. I know polyamory is a thing. It is not my thing. I love monogamy, and besides, polyamory requires honesty, and he has been fooling me for 6 years at least, so no, that's not on the table. I would rather be a single mother than be together with a dishonest pig. I have my own job, and I take care of my kids alone 6 months of the year anyways. So that is just ridiculous from some of you to suggest that I should pick financial stability before my happiness. The last thing was my grammar. I am not a native speaker. I am French and have a B2 in English. My use of slang is just due to a series I watch to learn the language. So thanks again for all you that cared. I will do what is best for the kids and me. I won't badmouth their father in any way, no matter how much I resent him. They will come to their conclusions when they're old enough, and he is still their father. And now let's get into some of the top comments. One user says, the thought that people would recommend merging families after being duped for all that time absolutely baffles me. I'm happy you're getting on with your life. Good riddance. And someone else says, I have a hard time believing that many genuinely polyamorous people would sincerely give this advice. Polyamory involves massive amounts of communication and honesty, but because it also involves multiple intimate partners, there are people who like to claim they're polyamorous when really they're just cheating. Polyamory requires consent from all people all the time. This man is just a trash person.
I hope she and the other woman cleans him out during the divorce and that the therapy helps the kids. The children are used to not seeing their dad for half the year anyway, so thankfully, any arrangements probably won't affect them too much. And someone else says, I followed your last post, and there was so much good advice there, I didn't think I had anything else to say. Just for you, I'm so glad you're taking these steps. It's so hard, especially with children. I can't imagine your whole life being torn apart in front of you like that. I think you handled it with grace and wisdom, more than many could muster. I'm unsure what your relationship with Cherry is, or if it would be healthy to continue a friendship, but I think your children could benefit from a shared experience with hers. Of course, this is something a therapist would know more about, so follow whatever they tell you. Proud of you. And someone replies and says, I'm piggybacking here because it's relevant. My mom and uncle were the illegitimate family's children. They were younger and grew up knowing they were hated by their dad's other wife. It was a different name, and it's frankly way besides the point. The children from both sides grew up quite distant, and only in 30s did they reconnect. They have a shared father. They have shared experiences. The bottom line is they are brothers and sisters. They are related. I'm not saying you should exert some massive effort to have them in each other's lives that completely loses sight of your own and your children's sense of self-respect. I'm saying to not openly crap on those children because they didn't do anything wrong. I'm saying to leave a door open for them to indeed be related. Thanks for reading, OP. If you have any more questions about this, please ask. I can also FWD them to my mom. Know that everyone involved that was an adult absolutely sucked from my POV, but the children really had it worst because they grew up with hatred. And someone else says, I'm sorry for the troubling and confusing times all of this has brought you and your kids. I definitely think finding out more about him and his family is a good idea. I can't understand why someone would do this and cause so much pain to the people he supposedly loved. You're doing the right thing for your children and yourself, and I hope you find solid ground very soon. And this was the last post we have ever received from the OP, but I hope that the OP was able to sue the father for everything he's worth because he is just a piece of trash, leading on 2 families and 2 women and, his kids. It's just so sad that, he destroyed 2 families that thought everything was as it seems, but obviously it wasn't. And who knows what happened to the OP's husband, but yeah, that guy is just a piece of trash. And man, what a wild post. But I hope everyone's doing better now. Am I the asshole for telling my coworker to stop buying me gifts? I, 18 female, started a new job in October. My coworker, 27 male, immediately started talking to me my first day there. I would talk to him in group settings, but he would always try to get me to go with him to his car to breaks, etc. After about a week of me working there, he started bringing me Starbucks in the morning and even packing me lunch. After 3 weeks, he had planned an entire date to go get dinner and ice cream. I had told him I did not want to go and would only like to be friends at work, and he said he understood. He kept bringing me lunch and buying me food, but I just kept it friendly and professional and never went with him anywhere. Flash forward to December, and my battery had died at work. I had asked him to jump it. He had absolutely no idea what he was doing, if I'm being honest, and on my way home, it quite literally caught on fire, and he gave me $400 the next day. I never said it was his fault or blamed him, but I don't know. I tried to refuse the money, and then afterwards told him I really do not want him to be giving me money or buying me things really at all, because I feel like it's something that can be held over my head, and he said it's not like that, and he does this for all of his friends. Then on Christmas, he shows up to his work with Uggs and AirPods, both very expensive gifts. He said that it was because he felt bad about the car, and he was trying to make up for the things that I've lost. But I've never really said that I lost Uggs or AirPods in the car, because I've never even owned Uggs or AirPods. I don't know. Then I explained to him again that I only wanted to be friends and that all of these gifts and everything was just too much for me, and I just don't like it. And he said again that he understood and he was worried that I would think that, but he doesn't want anything with anyone. And then he's been talking to other coworkers about the situation. Insane. He doesn't understand why I brought it up because he knew that I just wanted to be friends and everything, and he's just making things awkward with other people that work, and I just don't know if I'm in the wrong. I still have the gifts, but I don't know. Am I the asshole? And now let's get into some of the top comments. One user says, definitely not the asshole. He's love bombing and getting obsessive, and that's weird, especially because you have to see him at work. Hopefully you and other colleagues/bosses can help establish boundaries. Be on the lookout and kind of block him out from any one-on-one time. And the OP responds and says, I work in a warehouse, so all of this definitely gets overlooked by higher ups. He also has been with the company since they started, and I'm pretty much brand new compared to everyone else. It sucks because I really like this job. And another commenter says, this is really scary. It sounds like you've told him to stop multiple times, and he is still creeping on you. This is a big safety concern. This behavior is concerning. I would start pulling other people in so you have witnesses and backup. Like tell any women you work with who are friendly, does X do this to everyone? It's making me uncomfortable. I think you need to firmly and loudly decline going forward. Loud enough for others to hear. And I completely agree with this commenter here. If anyone's ever making you uncomfortable or, preying upon you in a certain way, just make other people very aware and be extremely loud, because people will hear it and then they'll help back you up. And they're gonna be like, who's this weird guy kind of preying upon you? And I think that's just, great advice. But then the OP responds and says, I have talked to other people, and it seems like this has been a problem with other people in the past, including leads and managers, which is interesting to me. I have been declining recent offers after the Christmas gifts. He had asked if I wanted Starbucks and Cane's on 2 separate occasions, and I declined both times. He's backed off since then, but has been switching his normal tasks to be closer to me, even though we aren't talking. My other coworkers are definitely tuned in on it, though. And another commenter says, not the asshole, but you could be in trouble. Return the gifts after photographing them. Save any texts or other evidence too. Stop accepting things and food from him. He will take it as encouragement if you don't stop. Go to HR or your boss if he doesn't stop. Consider just getting a new job if you think he's close with the boss or important for the business. They will take his side if they feel like it, and you risk being fired even if you haven't done anything wrong. And the OP responds and says, this is exactly what I'm worried about, because I had already talked to his supervisor, but they had basically said the only thing they can do is move me. He has worked there for 5 years since the company started, and other coworkers have said this is a repeated incident. I work in a warehouse, and that is pretty much the last thing they care about. And someone else asked the OP about the workplace's HR, and the OP responds and says, we do have HR, but I work in a warehouse, and this is the last thing they care about. They care way more about seniority than their employees' safety. And the OP also says, we do have HR, and I have talked to him, but they really do not care since he has been there for 5 years, and I have been there for only 4 months. And another commenter says, do any of your coworkers in the warehouse have teenage daughters? If so, you might be able to awaken the very underrated surrogate dad mode in one of them. I did this a couple of times when I was in high school and working somewhere. An older guy kept hitting on me, and I was getting no support. Ask about their lives. Ask about their kids.
And then when you discover the teenage daughter, show interest and also draw parallels between you and them to emphasize your similar ages. This won't work if it's a creepy or crappy dad. Has to be a solid dad type, a Luke Danes type, not a Logan Roy. Don't overemphasize being an adult. Steer clear of anything sounding very grown-up and independent. And make sure you give surrogate daughter vibes so they won't take the interest as a come-on. If you awaken the surrogate dad will be appalled on your behalf and nip the problem in the bud in a dude-friendly way. Sometimes shaming, sometimes warning, sometimes a KO if a dude doesn't listen. And bonus points if you have a new, non-creepy friend. Surrogate dad mode tends to activate best in a blue-collar environment because your chosen champion will then pull no punches in sorting it out. Always say thank you if surrogate dad helps. He's performing a service. And the OP responds and says, I've actually made very good friends with a dad and daughter my age. There's also a few other dad and also moms that I talk to there. I very much made a work family in the time I've worked there, and they all definitely think the situation is weird as hell. And another commenter says, I'm guessing no, but it is worth asking. Does he do this for other employees? And the OP responds and says, well, I have been there. I've seen him buy other girls at Red Bulls, but that's about the extent of it. I've heard that he has done similar to this in the past, though, with other girls that have worked there, including leads. And someone asked the OP if they know anything about the coworker's background that might lead to the reason why he is behaving like that. And the OP responds and says, we live in a state with open records, and I've searched him up. Only thing on there is a DUI. And another commenter says, first of all, it's not creeping into the workplace. It's been a workplace issue from the start, since that's the only place it's been happening. Secondly, you should absolutely not keep the gifts. She shouldn't be accepting them in the first place. If she did, that would make her as much of an asshole as him. You don't get to accept gifts from someone and then complain that they're giving you gifts. He wouldn't be twisting anything if he complained at that point. She'd be a hypocrite. I'm not sure if you're a teenager who just doesn't comprehend the situation, but if someone is harassing you and you want them to stop, you don't encourage them by accepting gifts from them and then complain about it. That's not a thing. She needs to refuse to accept anything from him in order to establish and hold that boundary. And the OP responds and says, I understand I shouldn't have accepted the gifts now, but I'm young. I'm freshly 18 and out of high school. I haven't had the best time growing up, and the only person I've had around is my dad. I've had to learn a lot of my own things on my own and tend to take advice from people around me, and a lot of my coworkers were telling me to just accept the stuff. Not everything is free in life, and most people would have taken the things. And then the OP comes back 1 month later with an update, and let's get into it. This reads, Hi everyone, so I genuinely was not going to post an update about this because the situation had honestly calmed down. He had not talked to me or anything since I confronted him about everything and had kept my distance. I definitely took into consideration everything that you guys had said. Number one, I did not give the gifts back. He wasn't talking to me, and I was not going to initiate that. Number two, I've talked to my HR, and they are pretty much not going to do anything. I have switched to part-time, and I'm looking for a new job. Now, the reason I'm updating is because yesterday, I got a message from a random number. I'm going to paste it here, but star out the name. Hey, it's blank. I got your number off the work app. I'm sorry about everything. I wanted to hit you up sooner, but I didn't want to bother you. Honestly, I miss hanging out with you and hearing you laugh and talk about whatever was on your mind. It was one of the best parts of my day. It bums me out how things went down, but I just wanted to say thank you for being an awesome friend. I miss you, and I hope you are doing well. When I got this message, I was extremely creeped out and concerned considering the fact we do not have a work app that shows our numbers. And considering just everything that was said in that message in general, we were never close like that. We hung out in a group setting on breaks at work only. I have taken this message to my HR, but they are not doing anything. What do I do now? I responded to him and blocked his number and will paste that message at the end of this. I don't think there's really anything else I can do until I find a new job. My reply, quote, I thought we already cleared this up. I'm not interested in being friends. Things got uncomfortable for me. And it didn't really feel like your only intention was friendship. The age difference in the gifts made it feel weird to me. And this message honestly made me uncomfortable. Don't reach out to me again. And now let's get into some of the top comments. One user says, who are you speaking to in HR? Is there a head of HR you can speak to? Put it on an email and say you are considering seeking legal advice. Since you're already looking for new work, it might be worth considering, or perhaps even speaking to someone in law or legal aid to see if there are options. I'm not familiar with the HR where you're from, but workplace harassment would be considered something they should be concerned about. Maybe the person you are talking to at HR is friends with the creep, and the OP responds and says, I'm pretty sure she is the head of HR. My company is a little bit smaller with only 3 locations total. They're also a very email-heavy company, so most of these conversations get email recaps sent to me. They do make it seem like they're concerned about it, but then tend to brush everything under the rug with anyone experiencing this kind of thing, unfortunately. I am definitely considering legal advice, though. Another commenter says, I'd personally take it to the police, even just to report it for record's sake. If he reaches out again, get an RO against him because it's borderline stalking to me. And the other commenter says, agree with this. And because if he's managed to get OP's phone number, does he also have her address? Or does he have an Apple tag on her car? I would be pretty creeped out. And that's a good point. If this creepy ass guy spent all the time finding the OP's phone number, yeah, who's not to say he doesn't have the OP's address or any other sort of identifying information about the OP, which could be used against her. Very, very creepy. But the OP then responds and says, I'm worried about something like that as well. I have had my dad check my car for a tracker and there was nothing. Also, I recently got a new car and I'm not sure if he knows which car is mine unless he has watched me and seen me get in it. Another commenter says, I'd ask HR if they have any information about what work app he's referring to and whether this is considered acceptable use of the company's information. Whether it would be okay for you to go looking up colleagues' numbers to use for non-business purposes. And if there is no app, then include that information in your police report. And when you query whether this is considered acceptable use, if they have any brain cells, that's their clue that they either need to enforce their acceptable use policy or update to ensure it isn't acceptable use. Or they may be considered complicit in helping this person get access to your personal information. If there is no such app, then you need to consider that this person may have access to all personal information the company has about you, medical conditions, address, work history, etc. If there is such an app, you need to make sure you figure out how much of your personal information he has been able to access, like your address. Don't block his number. Collect harassment evidence and be aware if the messages indicate escalation. Just put it on silent ringtone. And the OP responds and says, I talked to my supervisor today rather than HR, and he said he has no idea what app he could be referring to. We don't have any messaging app through work, either only email. He said the only thing he could have found on a work app is my work email. I'm definitely considering legal action because even when I said something today, it didn't seem like they were going to do anything. I'm going to unblock the number and see if any more messages come in. I really appreciate the advice. And another commenter says,
go to r/legal advice. Lawyers and paralegals there will have some useful suggestions. Or put what has been happening in writing to HR in an email. The initial behavior, your response, this new creepy approach, your feeling of being stalked and unsafe, the amount of times you approached HR, what you said to them and their response. Make clear in your email you have never encouraged this man, and his recent text is delusional. Make clear you have explicitly told this worker to stop, try to avoid him, and have reduced your hours. Cap it with whether the company has an app with workers' home numbers that can be freely accessed. State if not. Someone finding a way to access your home number from company records should be a disciplinary offense. Say you are going to get legal advice. This will make them worried about the company being liable and prompt them to act. Edit, escalate the job search, put a Ring doorbell video camera outside your door where you live. Keep us updated. And the OP responds and says, "Thank you for all of the advice. I will keep you all updated. We have cameras, just not a doorbell one, and they're all over the outside of the house. So I think we're good on that end. I did contact a lawyer, but there are certain laws with this extent of things, but they think I do have a case. I just have to get it approved before a lawyer can take it." And we have never heard from the OP ever again. And so who knows what happened? The last post the OP made was from 5 months ago. And so maybe the OP went to the police and the police said, "Hey, don't post this on Reddit. This is an ongoing, legal battle or, police investigation," which sometimes happens with these Reddit posts. And so if the police get involved, usually the OPs will stop updating because it's just bad to, keep posting on a public website, private information. But hopefully the OP is safe and all right. But that guy is definitely creepy. And with him finding the OP's phone number and the HR confirming that they don't have any sort of app that lists phone numbers, that's very concerning because, like I said, that creeper could have looked for her address. Maybe now he's, stopping by her house or looking through her windows. Who knows? I mean, literally, you can't put anything past people like this because they're creepy and weird. But hopefully the OP called the police and got the HR involved and possibly even sued the company because the company just wasn't taking the OP seriously. But hopefully the OP is doing all right and is safe and, has a more comfortable workplace they work at. But yeah, super creepy. I was accused of SAing my ex-girlfriend and it has ruined my life. Now my friends want to talk after all of these years. Let me just start off by saying that no, I did not SA my ex-girlfriend. I, 24 male, was accused of SAing my ex-girlfriend, who is 23 female, about 7 years ago. And it has ruined my life. I was a quiet kid in high school who had a small group of friends. I was a band kid, straight A's, that type of crowd. Now in sophomore year, I met my ex. Let's call her Anne. And we dated on and off over a year. Anne and I also have a small past together. Her parents worked with my parents and were best friends. And we already knew each other well. We had no issues within the relationship, and we saw each other at least 3 times a week. We went to separate schools. Now, I was the one who did the damage. I broke up with her for multiple different reasons. The main one being her sister tried to stab me with a kitchen knife. A year goes by, now nearing the end of my junior year, and my buddy, we'll call him Joe, calls me and tells me Anne is accusing me of SAing her. I hadn't seen or spoken to her since our breakup. And Joe and my friend group all knew that. So I naturally shrugged it off and thought it wouldn't be too much of an issue. Kind of just a friend group rumor type of deal. Now this is where I was wrong. By the beginning of my senior year, I had received death threats on numerous occasions. All of my friends turning on me. And it all led to me getting arrested. While I was in holding, someone killed my dog while my parents weren't home and left a note calling me a R-wordist. That dog was my best friend through all of this and was the final straw in my decision. The charges were dropped due to the little evidence Anne had provided. I took my second chance at life and ran away. After high school, which after all the court hearings was only a few weeks away, I had moved across the state, losing all of my high school friends, changed my phone number, and deleted all my social media. My parents knew I had left, but had no idea where I was. I was a ghost, and it was the way my life had to be. Living on my own wasn't how it always sounded for an out-of-high school student like myself. I spent the first 2 years hiding away in my apartment. I spent months overthinking and questioning my own thoughts. I went to work and went home. I did not converse with anyone for 2 years. I had no friends, and I was lonely. All I had was my new dog, Bosco. Yes, he is named after the bear from Avatar, The Last Airbender. I was living in hell with my only escape being my dog and my games, which I deleted all of my online friends as well. Eventually, I met a lovely woman. We'll call her Kim. Kim and I met while I was at the dog park with Bosco. This girl has done everything for me, and I love her so much. She hasn't doubted my side since the day I told her, and has helped me start my life over, including helping me make new friends. Sorry for the rambling, but I'm nearing the end of the story. Now, last week I had made a new social media account and added only my new friends and Kim's family. My family understands why I did not add them, as it would link me to my hometown. I received an odd message request this morning. I looked in disbelief as I saw it was from Joe, asking me where I've been and if I was okay. I did not open it. I just let it be and went about my day. Now I have 5 new friend requests from my old friend group, all of them messaging me asking me where I was and if I wanted to meet up and talk. I decided to message Joe back and told him everything I've been waiting to tell him. You guys turned your backs on me, tarnished my name, and helped Anne destroy my life and my reputation back in hometown name. Do you really expect me to reply back to you after that? I went on and explained what happened, including how someone murdered my dog. I've spent years in therapy, countless hours of trial and error to socialize again, and what felt like an eternity to trust anyone. I have new friends and an awesome girlfriend, all have which contributed to my success at restoring my humanity. I've been thinking about it all day today, and I still don't know if I should give my old friends another chance. Maybe they've grown up and regretted their decisions, or maybe they just expect me to forgive them. If anyone has any opinion on this, please comment. Sorry for the rambling. I just needed a safe space to be able to share my story and my recent events. Kim already does so much for me, and I don't want her to text her while she's at work about this. Thank you for reading, and any comments that follow are much appreciated. And then the OP comes back shortly after with an update that reads, Joe and my other old friends told me everything that happened since I've been gone. To sum it all up, Anne is a drug addict and does not live in my hometown anymore. They all apologized to me, but I told them we could no longer be close. The drama and memories would all come back, and I've worked too hard to get where I am in life to let some dumb old friends ruin that. After they apologized, they all took turns admitting they regret taking Anne's side. They told me they have no idea who killed my dog. Also to mention, my dog was killed with rat poison, if some of you were wondering. However, none of them understood the fact that I cannot be close with them anymore. I blocked them all. It feels really nice to have closure and not have the consequences of being close with them. Kim really helped me through this, and I've read a lot of your comments, and I respect everyone's opinion. Also, to touch up on some questions everyone had, Anne's sister did not like me at all. She also had some serious mental health issues and ended up landing her in a mental health facilities on multiple occasions. I have no idea where she is now, and I honestly could care less. She is a horrible human being and deserves nothing. Anne admitted to the false accusation sometime after I moved across the state. Joe and the others told me they were all at a college party where Anne was drunk and decided it was a good idea to get frisky with another old friend of mine. His name is irrelevant. She told him she came up with the accusation months after I broke up with her because I was her first love and I deserved it. I guess the crazy runs in the family. The lesson to take away from this: don't give anyone a second chance. They broke your trust the first time and should not be given another chance. Know your self-worth. Thank you everyone who commented and gave me some self-esteem. Your opinions are greatly appreciated, more than you know. And then the OP comes back with a second update that reads, since internet trolls and others are asking for proof or clarification on my expenses, living arrangements, etc., I'll post them so y'all can move on with your lives. Number 1, so Bosco is a beagle, who I adopted at the age of 3.5 years old, months after I moved. His maintenance is low, and he does not mind being alone by himself. Heartworm test / prevention, $65 annually, and vaccines anywhere from $60 to $120 annually, depending on which vaccines he requires. He's an amazing dog who brings joy to me, and I give him a happy home with everything he needs at his disposal: food, potty pads, and toys all laid out in front of him. Number 2, moving across the state at the age of 18 and fresh out of high school is not easy, but I had to do what I had to do. I sold a lot of possessions, drum sets, guitars, snowboards, furniture, etc., to afford the first and last month's rent with deposit. I also had a graduation party, which I ate up a lot of that money as well as the money I had been saving since I started working at 16. I planned on going to college, so I saved up as much as I could. Hard, yes. Impossible, absolutely not. Number 3, I have no idea why my old friends wanted to rekindle after all these years, and no, I do not know how they found my social media page. It was a Facebook account that I created to keep in touch with Kim's family and my friends, especially the new online friends I made. If you want to know how they did, go ask Mark Zuckerberg about the Facebook algorithm. Maybe they stalked me, who knows. Number 4, to those internet trolls who think they know it all because they're sitting in their mama's basement, eating their big old bag of Cheetos, not everyone lives an easy life like yourself, and I kindly ask to try and compose yourself. If you don't believe my story, that's fine. Not a lot of people do. But try your hardest to wrap your greasy heads around the fact that other individuals live totally separate lives from yours. Not all of us have the luxury of staying at home and playing video games. I did not give up, and I refused to be homeless, which meant I got up off my ass and worked nearly every day of my life to make sure that didn't happen. I went to therapy, which was a bonus of staying in my parents' healthcare, went to work and moved on. Thanks for reading my post, but just know the admins will remove these obnoxious comments you work so hard to compose. Thanks. And number 5, to everyone else, thank you for reading my post and understanding. I appreciate all of your comments and opinions. They were very uplifting and helped me clear my head and helped me realize that I don't need my old friends to be happy. Thank you. And now let's get into some of the top comments. One person says, good for you. Personally, I wouldn't give them the opportunity to absolve their own guilt. Let it eat at them. And another user says, dude, just live your life. I rarely heard a story where anyone bounced back this hard. Huge respect from me. You don't want to talk to them? That's fine. You should focus on yourself and Kay. And someone else says, I hate when people falsely accuse others of SA because it's already so hard for victims to get justice. OP, I'm so sorry. She is the actual scum of the earth. And all right, guys, that wraps up some Stalker Reddit threads. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It really does help so much. And I mean, you watch at the end of like a 2-hour long video, so that means you enjoy the channel, kind of. So please subscribe. I would love for you to join the community. And yeah, these were some of the most creepy and just unhinged Reddit threads I have ever read. I really hope you enjoyed. And if you did, make sure to comment down below your thoughts. I read every single comment and I love hearing what you guys have to say. And also, if you'd like to see more of me, you can go over to my Spotify, go over to my Instagram, all that sort of stuff. And I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching from the bottom of my heart. It truly does mean the world. And this was Snook, and I'll see you next time. Bye.